Hey, good morning, everybody. What's left of the morning? It's a beautiful day here in Arizona. Got my coffee. I'm out here in Tonto National Forest. I know that's no surprise to many of you, just west of Superior. And today I'm starting at the Silver King staging area, right off the US 60. You can probably hear the 60 in the background. There's quite a bit of traffic on there. Let's go see what today has in store for us.
Hey everybody, had to interrupt the video here. Got two quick announcements for you. Number one, any funds that I make from YouTube off this video through December 31st of 2025, I will donate 100% of that to the Tonto Recreation Alliance. Now, if you're not familiar with Tonto Recreation Alliance, they are a nonprofit organization here in Arizona, and the volunteers with them work really hard to keep trails open in the Tonto National Forest. They work on trails, they clean up trash on trails, they maintain trails, and if you're familiar with Trail 42, Telegraph Line Trail, they work tirelessly to get that thing back open after it being closed for over 20 years. So that's number one. Number two is, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I map trails for TrailsOffroad.com. And Trails Off-Road, if you sign up right now using the link in the description below, you will save 25% on your subscription, and Tonto Recreation Alliance will make a small commission on your subscription. So that's a second way that you can support the Tonto Recreation Alliance. But in order to raise the most funds of all, I need you to like this video. I need you to watch the thing all the way to the end. I need you to share it with friends, and I need you to comment below, because the more you do that, the more exposure the video will get on YouTube, and the more funds we can raise for the Tonto Recreation Alliance. If you want to check them out, check out their website, Tonto Recreation Alliance. You can search it on Google. You'll find it right there. Great organization. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
So today is going to be a little bit different. I'm out here in the Montana mountain area. Actually, it's called Hewitt Canyon OHV area. And I'm actually mapping out some trails for Trails Off-Road. Some of these trails I've been on before, some of them I haven't. So I wanted to bring you along with me, and you can get a glimpse into, see what goes on when I'm mapping trails. The first trail that I'm mapping out today is Forest Road 293, and it runs from Trail 8 back down to Trail 357. Looks like I found a decent camp spot here. Let's see what we got going on. Be helpful if I put it in four-wheel drive too, probably. All right, let's see what this site has to offer. Yeah, I already picked up some mud. So when I'm mapping these trails, I'm looking for established campsites. They're already there, maybe they have a fire ring, and documenting some of those, right? So you have a good idea of what the camping possibilities are along this trail. Now, this trail that I'm doing right now, I'm actually doing a scout route, so it's not a full-blown trail guide with all the different waypoints. It's a GPS track, gives you some pictures of what to expect on the trail conditions, and then, you know, what you can find for camping. So this is one of the sites that you're gonna find. I would say here you could probably fit a couple of vehicles. It's relatively flat. It's got a dirt, sandy, a little bit of a gravel base. Not too bad if you're gonna pitch a tent over here, and it's already got an established fire ring. Got a little wind cover here with this little knoll that's right here. You can hear the US 60 though. We're not too far off of that. Here's some motorcycles right now. But not too bad of an option if you want something close to the highway. Oh yeah, don't forget about the power lines. I don't hear them buzzing, but they are right there. This little crossing here, which you might drive right past it and not even realize it, is the Arizona Trail, the Arizona hiking trail, which goes from the Utah border all the way down to the Mexican border. So you can see here, this is the trail on the left side of the off-road trail. And right here is where it comes up out of that wash on the north side. I've had a ton of rain the last couple days, and I bet this thing was just raging with water. This hill behind me is actually the hardest part of this trail. It's a short trail, but you do have to come down into this wash and climb back out. Just made a hairpin turn on this trail, still on trail 293, and now I'm heading southeast, and that big mountain up there in front of us is Picket Post Mountain. It's just on the other side of the US 60. Oh man, look at all that. You know, I was gonna say there's a solid campsite right over there, but somebody took the liberty of dumping all their trash right here. Just finished that one. That was Forest Road 293, and it's just about 2 miles, so nothing crazy. But when I do the scout routes, I lay down a GPS track, take pictures of camping, take some scenic pictures, take 5 or 6 other pictures that give a good indication of the trail, and then I'll write a short description of it and put a trail review in, and I'll submit it to TrailsOffroad for it to get posted onto the app and to the website. So one trail down, let's see what the next one is. The next trail that I am mapping is a really short trail, and it is Forest Road 2383. And it's a real short connector trail between 293, which is the one I was just on, and trail 252. If this thing is a half a mile long, I would really be surprised. So let's go see what we got going on with this one. That trail was absolutely nothing special. It was 1/3 of a mile. And pretty much the only reason why that exists is because it's a power line trail. I think I can see where I actually started the trail, which would have been right there. But yeah, you can hear the lines buzzing today. You can hear them buzzing pretty much every day, so I'm not even sure why I said that. 2383. Don't rush out of your house to drive out here to run that trail. It just connects you. That's it. All right, I am ready to start mapping my next trail, and that's Forest Road 1903. Now, this trail is going to be a lot better than the last two, I promise. It's longer, it heads up into the mountains, there's canyons on both sides. We'll be running a shelf road, there's steep climbs. It's a fantastic trail, so let's go get this one started. I just started this trail and it already is not disappointing. You come across this rock waterfall in this wash. You can tell there's a ton of water has been flowing down here the last few days with everything that it's washed down with it. Twigs, branches, dirt, trees, cacti, all kinds of stuff was running through this wash in the last few days. Be interesting to see how long this water will hang out here. I think about the water just gushing down through here. That would have been really cool to see in action. It had to have just been flooding through here. It is wet all the way up to the banks. This is pretty neat right here. Think about what created that and all the water. It might take me all day to get through this trail, just based on what I'm seeing so far. So this whole wide wash here, all that water came flying down through here. And you could just imagine it running right over this little waterfall. Think about all that water's carved that out over the years. Wouldn't want to be sitting right here when that water was flowing. That's for sure. All right, we got to get going. One thing about coming out here after a good rainstorm is that rain clears away all the dust out of the atmosphere and the scenery just pops. The desert is a lot greener, the air's cleaner, and the views are just out of this world out here. Wanted to stop here for just a minute to give you a sense of some of the steepness of these hill climbs that are on this trail. This one right here behind me is fairly steep, and let's go take a look at it. Man, yeah, walking up here. You can see the Jeep down there behind the bush. Yeah. I just went through the hardest part of this trail. It goes up a hill, it cranks a left turn, there's a boulder right there, there's a big bush you've got to maneuver around. I'm gonna walk back down and walk you through this. This section right here is so steep, it's really hard to even walk on it. So you come up here, and right there is almost where I slid off the side, and I had to back up right there. You come up here, you go around this corner, and then you're faced with this boulder right here, and there's a crevice right in the middle. This side is really high, so if you try to go up this side and put your tire right in the middle, you'll probably do some body damage on your door with this boulder. So you've got to come up right here over this boulder. There's so many opinions, and everybody's got their own opinion on difficulty scale of an off-road trail. A lot of it depends on the rig that you're driving, the experience that you have, the modifications that you've done, what type of tires do you have. So my difficult rating may not equal your difficult rating. My easy rating may not equal that person's easy rating. So when it comes to Trails Off-Road, the thing that I like about it, there's very specific criteria that we have to use as scouts when we go out and do these trails and we write the scout routes, or we do a full trail guide. There's very specific criteria on what is easy, what is moderate, what is difficult, what is severe. And we use those to be as consistent as possible when we write these trail guides. So I came up this trail in my stock Rubicon a couple years ago, and this section right here, I almost didn't make it through because of the off camber, because of the lift that was needed, or the bigger tires that were needed, and my driver experience at the time. So because of that, and because of this one obstacle, this trail is going to be rated difficult. The rest of it may be moderate, but this is a mandatory obstacle that you have to go through in order to get done on this trail. That's why it's going to be considered a difficult trail. And it doesn't stop there. You know, this one is not as bad. It's a little easier to go up, but it does throw you off camber. Elevation right now is about 3,400 feet, and from the beginning, that's about a 1,200 foot gain. However, it seems like we're at the top, but I'm not. There's still a little bit more to go uphill before we get to the highest point on this trail. You can see the trail continues to wind up to the top right about there, and that'll be the highest elevation point on this trail. This is absolutely a gorgeous place to stop. Feels like you're at the top of the world. Riding along this ridge, canyons on both sides. Town of Superior is right down there. And another good shot of Picket Post Mountain. Oh, what an awesome day out here. So gorgeous. It's not 3,000 degrees anymore, which is pretty cool. Can't wait for the winter and the fall. I mean, the breeze I have right now is actually, I don't want to say it's chilly, but it is definitely refreshing. It's not like opening a hot barbecue grill and having that in your face. Feels awesome out here. Now, it's probably a little bit cooler up here. We did gain about 1,900 feet in elevation going up Trail 1903. It does come to an end when it intersects with 2356. So 1903, I would call it a connector trail because you're just not going to stop here and really turn around and go back the other way. You're going to continue on 2356, which goes up this way. You can see it goes up the hill. You're still not quite at the top yet because these trails form an inner loop to the Montana Mountain Trail. So Montana Mountain Trail is a little bit bigger of a loop. These trails are, the inner loop is what I call it. It's a little shorter run. In fact, Trail 1903 was about 5 miles, but it really gained some elevation fast. You saw those hills we came up. So this inner loop is actually more aggressive than the Montana Mountain Trail. Now, if you haven't checked out my video on Montana Mountain, I actually titled it, Was It Bulldozed? Because they went through there with a bulldozer and really leveled that thing out. And I believe that's for fire access, so the firefighters can get up there, because that did burn, I want to say last year, maybe 2 years ago up there. But this trail here, if you really want to test your skills, this would be where I would point you to. Now, it is not a beginner trail by any means. So, yeah. One of the other great things about Trails Off-Road is when you look at a scout route, you'll see they're smaller trail guides. They don't give you a bunch of different waypoints, but they do give you critical information. Length of the trail, GPS track of the trail, pictures of the hardest part of the trail, so you can make a decision if, you know, that's something that you want to conquer. Also gives you pictures of camping along the trail and scenic views along the trail. Now, 1903, really, there was only about one spot that I would even consider suitable for camping. There weren't any other places really where you could pull off with multiple vehicles and camp. In fact, the one spot that I found really was a single vehicle spot only. Liquid Death, Severed Lime. Cheers, gang. It's pretty good. I like it. I am on to the last trail that I'm gonna map today. Is not the last trail that I'm gonna be on today, because I still need to take part of another one to loop back to where I started. Oh yeah, the mud. This is Forest Road 2356. It's relatively short, and it is also a connector trail. It heads up to the top and then starts to swing back down before it connects to another trail. You know, I've been talking about Trails Off-Road, and mapping this trail for them. This is absolutely not a sponsored video by any means. It's freelance work that I do for them. And so it's paid based on trails that you run, trails that you write up, and if they accept that and they publish it, then you get paid for doing those trails. But I'll tell you, the one thing that I really like about it, and the reason why I started writing for Trails Off-Road, is when I got into off-roading, I felt that those were the most comprehensive guides that were able to tell me
hey, is this a trail that looks like something that I'm able to accomplish? And I think I just found the hardest part of this trail. Yeah, sure did. Give you guys a shot of 2356. This is not as hard as an obstacle of 1903. Because you can go up this way around it, or you can go right up that, but this is a pretty good little rock face right here. So what I was saying, and actually that was couldn't have timed that any better. For me, using Trails Off-Road when I first started gave me a really good sense of trails that I was able to accomplish because there was so much detail on the trail guides of the hardest section, what it was rated. There was a pretty consistent rating process for the trails. And the other thing is that every trail that you see on there has been run by a person. A person has been out there, they put down the GPS track, they took pictures of the hardest sections, to really give you a true understanding. Now the trail conditions change, right? They change all the time. But at least this gives you boots on the ground indication of what's going on that trail. The other thing that you'll find is most of the trails that are on there are broken out into specific numbered trails. So if it's a numbered trail, like the National Forest number trail system, the trails are going to be broken out by that number. Now that's not 100% of the time, but most of the time that's what you're going to find. So prime example would be Montana Mountain Trail. It's actually made up of 3 Forest Service roads. It's made up of Forest Road 172, 172A, and 650. Those 3 trails combined make up the Montana Mountain Loop. But if you look at it on Trails Off-Road, it's actually broken into 3 different trail guides. That way, if a trail gets closed for whatever reason, the team there can go in and just put in that trail is closed. It's not some crazy long loop made up by somebody based on a trail that they wanted to go run, right? It's actually allocated to the official route number designated. Now, you'll find that there's other times where there isn't a designated trail number. Like, for example, Arizona State Trust Land. There's no designated trail numbers. So those trails you see on there are, routes that have been run by an individual and logged with a GPS track. You'll find that BLM land a lot of times also has numbered trails. So when it's possible, it's going to be allocated to those numbered trails. And the trails that you see on there, on that app, are actually legal trails. And in some maps, you have to be careful because the maps that you see on there contain routes that are not legal trails, or maybe they're trails that have been closed for whatever reason over time. So that's the cool thing. Those are a few things that I really like about Trails Off-Road, and that's one of the reasons why, I started to map trails for the team over there. Hey everybody, that's going to wrap this up. Hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today, mapping trails out for Trails Off-Road, making some trail guides, shooting video, taking pictures, flying the drone around. That's what I love doing out here. Hey, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, and many of you that watch haven't subscribed, do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit like, leave a comment below. Are there trails you want to see me make videos of? Are there trails you want to see trail guides for on Trails Off-Road? Put it down in the comment.
The other thing is, I think you'll enjoy this video right here. So stick around, click on that, watch that. It's pretty cool. Thanks everybody. See you later.